Hello, everybody. I can see people coming in. There was a bit of a delay there. So happy to see everyone join us. I hope you've been doing well. We are heading towards the end of a week, still going strong, and I hope everybody had a fantastic one. I have a special guest today. I always have a special guest. I'm super excited today because, this is a Miss South Africa sister. Today we will be chatting to, let me try and find her, to Sasha-Lee, reigning Miss South Africa. Beautiful, beautiful Sasha. Sasha, I see you are not here yet. So as soon as you come through, please send in an indication that you are in fact here. And then we can kick it off. Okay, Sasha is still not here. So you guys can drop us some questions that we will be answering towards the end, because that's what we always do. There is a question box thingy. I still call it a question box because I still don't know what it is. You guys can drop your questions in there. It's so much more easier to see them than reading them out of the comments. So if you put in your questions in there for Sasha, it could be about pageants, it could be about her, South Africa, me, anything that you guys want to know. While we still wait for her. Sasha, I still can't find you, and I'm trying to send you a request. But yeah, get your questions ready, and always remember, there she is. Always remember, Universe United. Okay. Waiting for Sasha to join us.
George, you'd be surprised at how hard this is still.
Girl, still, after having done it so many times.
After having done it so many times. How are you? You look so beautiful today.
I'm good. Thank you, says the most beautiful girl in the land.
In the universe. In the universe for you. In the universe for you.
How are you, Miss South Africa?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Mm-hmm. So good to see you. Your hair is always popping. It's always there. Whenever I think about your hair and how gorgeous it is, I always think about how you used to cry all the time when you had to wash it because it's so heavy and it's a lot of hair. You used to complain all the time, but
you out here just telling my secrets, but it's okay.
I'm just saying, Sasha, pick a struggle. If you're gonna have to have gorgeous hair and a gorgeous face, then you must have trouble washing it. I'm just saying.
If I cut my hair now, we may look like twins. Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
It's so good to see you. You are alone in your apartment. At least I have Chazli, so I'll go bother her sometimes and knock and scream. But you're alone, so how has that been for you? Like, just mentally, emotionally being there. How is it?
So I'm very grateful for, the place that we stay in with the security that we have.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember Sifle from the time that you were staying here, but he actually bought me a few books to keep me a little bit more company during this time of, being under lockdown and having to stay alone. But I'm very grateful now for technology and, all the Zooms that we have and all the video calls that we can possibly have. So I'm that person that's bothering everyone with a video call.
I'm just saying, everybody must expect us now because you put on makeup, you do this virtual calls. Personally, I'm not going to let my makeup go to waste. So I'm going to call everybody I know. I'm going to call everybody.
They need to see us. It needs to have its time. It needs to have its time. Exactly.
Absolutely. It's such an exciting time for you because you are in the middle of, the Miss South Africa competition. We already have our top 15, right? 15 semi-finalists who, you and I know how it felt just being in that position. How has that been, like sitting on the other side and looking in at somebody who is just chasing after their dreams and somebody's dream is about to become a reality, and this time you're on the other side. How does it feel?
I always wonder, are they stressing the way we were stressing? Do they know that it's really just such a fun process, or that it can be if you allow it.
Absolutely.
I think that that's the most important thing. I don't think any of them understand it right now, because it just maybe means just so much to them, and I understand, because it meant just so much to us.
Yep.
But just sitting on the other side, reminiscing about, you know, the past year and how crazy it's been. And on the 9th of August is a big day for you, though. It's a big day for you, though. It's 1 year. How crazy that time flies.
And yeah, it's so wild, because it feels like it just happened now. Do you know what I mean? And now I'm looking at next month, we're looking at August on the 9th. It's a year anniversary. So it's quite crazy to see that it hasn't even been a year since, you know, my life completely changed. Our lives, you know, your life as well. But you've always been something pretty special, my Sash. You know that, coming into the competition. And, you know, one of the things that make you special is your voice and everything that you stand for. And, you know, so having said that, I want to speak a little about body positivity. You know, something that you advocate for, you know, through and through. And I want to bring it up because recently a lot of people had been tagging me in it, and I think I saw on my timeline as well about former Miss Universe Canada, Sierra. I'm sure you've heard about her as well. One of the former contestants had called her a fat placer, which when I saw it, I was like, how can anybody say this, you know, about another woman who is doing so incredibly well in a competition? And it just made me think once again about, you know, stereotypes of what it is to be a woman, what it is to be beautiful. And you also recently had something yourself in the papers where somebody published an article asking whether or not you were pregnant from a photo of you, which from it, how has that been for you? Has that always been a challenge, stepping into the Miss South Africa shoes?
You know, so looking at beauty in itself, you know, the very definition of it, of which I believe no one has the right to define what beauty is, because beauty is this pre-assumed template that was placed upon us by a subjective society, and previously it was only one kind of beauty that was celebrated, which is now the reason why there is so much resistance when it comes to people like ourselves and Sierra, who are trying to challenge this pre-assumed template, you know. And the term plus size, we have to look at it in accordance with three definitions. So there's the definition in accordance with the modeling industry and what that is. So plus size in the modeling industry is anything over the sample size. And then there's society's perception on what plus size is. And that's subjective, because everyone has the idea of what plus size is. Some believe that I'm plus size. Some don't believe that I'm plus size. Some will believe that Sierra is plus size. Some won't believe that she's plus size. And then there's how you view yourself, which I believe is the most important, because I see myself as my size and I own that. And I think just coming to this platform, our participation, mine and yours alike, is very much a future reimagined for every single person that's about to step into this place, not only in terms of Miss South Africa, but in terms of pageantry all over the world, just so they can get to a place where they can own themselves and bring themselves forth to this place. And as you say, take up space. Show up.
Yeah, for sure. And also, whenever I think about plus size, you know, plus size models, plus size this and that, I always think, are we ever going to get to a place where it's just models? You know, just your model, you know, none of these labels. No, not black model, white model, plus size, just like a model, you know, just celebrating woman beauty, because it comes in so many shapes and so many sizes and shades. And so it was absolutely disheartening to, you know, see those things roll out and still happening. But then, you know, it's also nice to have people who are challenge the norms, you know, go against the grain and challenge whatever, you know, stereotypes that people are thinking beauty should be. One other thing I want to, you know, speak about especially during the pandemic, so much of
Yeah.
it happening, gender-based violence. Again, it's one of the things that you stand for. We've seen it in your campaign. It's not your fault. I don't know if you would want to speak about, a little bit about your campaign and what it is, so that people can understand it a little more.
So by now, I'm hoping that everyone understands just how important it is for us to raise our voices, not only for the injustices we face ourselves, but for the injustices other people are facing. As we've seen, the issue of gender-based violence has grown exponentially, not only in our country, because this is isn't just a South African issue. This is an issue that transcends borders. But in South Africa specifically, this is a reality for women every 26 seconds, the issue of sexual assault. And what's disheartening is the fact that by the age of, or rather, 40% of women would be raped in their lifetime. It's such a difficult thing to take, because I'm very much aware of the aftermath of trauma and how terrible that is for anyone. And it was so difficult surviving that. So the It's Not Your Fault campaign is one that aims to liberate and celebrate those who have survived sexual assault, because there's many that deal with rape and what that is. There's many campaigns that deal with the actual cause or sexual assault in itself, but there's not many that deal with the aftermath of trauma. So It's Not Your Fault aims to bring dignity to these survivors in the form of a rape comfort pack, which we feel is very much so necessary right now. It's so necessary right now. And I wish that, all the funds that we have been accumulating wouldn't be used. I wish it wouldn't be used, but it's unfortunate that remedial action is now necessary, and it's something that we need.
Yeah. Oh, I felt it, when you said you hope the funds that you raise won't be used, because by using them, it means it has happened to some woman, it has happened to some young girl. I guess, which is why it's so important to have the platforms that we have as well, to continue to tackle these issues and to speak more, about it and raise awareness. And so I've been following that campaign through and through since it started, and I just think it's a fantastic one. I'm just gonna look at the questions a little bit, because I want to go in and out. Because usually what happens when I chat with people, Sasha, is we just go on, and I forget to look at the questions. And I forget to look at the questions. So I'm just going to go and try and engage people a little bit. You guys should have questions for Sasha as well. Ooh, okay. There we go. What characteristics do you hope Miss South Africa has that were not a priority before? That is an interesting. What do you think, Miss South Africa? Okay, you know what I think? I think first, what are your favorite characteristics that Miss South Africa is looking for, and your ideal characteristic, like they say, that you wish was there?
So I think what's essential for Miss South Africa is to have a soul or a spirit of service. Because at the end of the day, as much as we are leaders in the positions that we're in, true leadership is one of service. So I'd say that to be a good leader, one should be empathetic. We're not all going to face the same challenges, as the rest of our country is facing, but it's important that we're able to relate and we are able to engage with those on that level, wherever that may be.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I think I'm gonna someone's like, what do you think of the new group of Miss South Africa? I'm like, she can't say, okay.
They're all amazing.
They're can't say. Someone said, what would you say we as the pageant industry can do to combat gender-based violence? That's actually from your boss, Sash.
Like, hey. Hey, Steph. So I think as as Miss South Africa, as the pageantry industry itself, I saw it, you know, for what it is previously before I entered, and that it was instrumental in alleviating various socio-economic issues that us as a country are facing. And one of the ways is definitely, you know, giving us the platform to lend our voices to this, because if anything, our voices are even now more amplified than they were before. So we need these platforms, you know, like Miss South Africa, not only to bring about awareness, but to put different types of actions to play where we can actually make a measurable difference.
Absolutely, I agree. Because I think if we look at the past, Sasha, like many years ago, I don't think in the pageant industry they used to be able to tackle some issues. I remember I was listening in to a conversation between Sasha-Lee and Deshauna, former Miss USA.
Yeah.
Deshauna was saying she's so happy every time to look at our profiles and to see that we're advocating for something, and to see that we have a voice and are not scared, because sometimes it's so easy to pick a gray area. You know, you don't want to be black or white. And so I think it's very lovely to see the pageant industry now open up even more to speaking out, you know, and choosing a side, because it's very important sometimes to pick a side.
And we've seen that now more than ever with regards to Black Lives Matter and just how important that is. And I think it was a topic that was previously, you know, taboo, and you couldn't really speak about it. But I think I'm just so grateful for not only my organization, but your organization too, that are able to actually, you know, say that we can actually talk about it.
Absolutely. Speaking of Black Lives Matter, how has it been, you know, in South Africa? We know it's an American movement. It started in the States, but I think each and every person got touched by it because we have similar stories happening across the world, which is why we felt it. So how has it been in South Africa for you? Like, where was your mind at when the whole, you know, thing was happening? And it still is. It's still happening. And it's just one of those things where we feel like just because the hashtag is not out there anymore doesn't mean it has stopped and it's not happening. So where's your head at with regards to that?
It was really a difficult year in a week. It was just so long, and it was just so difficult. And the issue with regards to racism is it's something that transcends borders. I mean, as much as this is a movement that's based in the US or was formed in the US, racism is something that transcends borders. It's something that we as South Africans had experienced with regards to apartheid. So it was discrimination that was appropriated to, over here in South Africa, the majority groups, and in America it was appropriated, or the discrimination and oppression was appropriated to minority groups. And it's just unfortunate that we have to deal in 2020 with combating the ideologies that are still very much at play and have, you know, stemmed from years of systemic racism.
Absolutely. Speaking of racism and apartheid, you can't help but think of, you know, our former president, our first black president, Nelson Mandela. We are celebrating his birthday actually on the 18th of July, which is this weekend on Saturday. Yes, absolutely. And you know, it's such a fantastic time, you know, whenever his birthday comes around, because you are celebrating a life that celebrated South African lives. And on the day, we have what we call 67 minutes, which is something that people might not know. The 67 minutes really comes from the 67 years that he spent, you know, fighting in that struggle of apartheid and trying to make sure, you know, that we get to a more equal South Africa. And so what we usually do for 67 minutes is we ask people to do something that's not for themselves for 67 minutes, to be selfless for 67 minutes, because that's how, you know, the late great Madiba was known to be, a selfless man. Do you have any plans for 67 minutes, Sasha, or are you still planning that?
Oh yes, I can't wait, because I'm actually this year partnered with Brand South Africa, and we are going to be you know, sharing messages of encouragement with the youth. I can't wait to, you know, deliver my keynote to the school in Benoni.
Oh.
And I'm going to be actually just chatting about some of the things I wish I learned when I was younger. You know, not to say that I'm that much older, but some of the things I wish I learned when I was younger.
Absolutely. I will definitely be doing my part as well over here for International Nelson Mandela Day. For my 67 minutes, I'm planning, you know, to give back because, you know, there's been a lot happening in the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, there's a wonderful organization here that, you know, they do food packaging for people. And the most amazing thing that they do is they look after the ill, you know, when people are sick and they can't make meals for themselves. And the meals that they make are specifically tailored for, you know, those people and their illnesses. And it's called God's Love We Deliver. God's Love We Deliver. Even the name is you know,
even the name.
Even the name in it is quite pure and amazing. So that's what I will be doing with my time. I will be packing meals. I will be Chef Zozi on the day, just like my
Why am I struggling to believe the Chef Zozi thing?
What are you talking about?
Let's be honest. Yeah. Zoz, when did this happen?
Whenever I ever cook, you will see me chopping. You will see me chopping. You know,
maybe chopping, but not cooking.
But I definitely won't be cooking. I don't want to make people sick. I will just be chopping and packaging the food and making sure that the people get the food. But you know, besides the 67 minutes and giving back, when you think of, you know, Tata Madiba, like what do you think about? Like what comes to mind when people say, you know, it's Nelson Mandela?
I think of the power of the South African spirit. I think he embodies that so well. And he shows us exactly what we can be as people, you know, for South Africa, but not only for South Africa, you know, for the world, and how we should be. And he shows us the spirit of forgiveness. And he shows us, you know, the importance of service and living a selfless life, living for others and not solely for yourself. And I think that that's what I think of when I think about him. And it's just so important for all of us to take that message forward and carry, you know, so much of his legacy into the years to come.
Absolutely. I heard, Sasha, I want to ask something. Do you see a question box on the screen? Apparently it's covering your face, but I can't see it on my side. So that's very strange. Or maybe it's a message that came in like later on, way back when.
Or maybe it was earlier on.
Yeah, maybe it was earlier on because I'm like, I don't see it. I think I removed it. Yeah, but yeah, absolutely. Somebody says there's a message we can't see. Oh, it's gone. They said it's gone. I'm so happy because I was like, please don't tell me I kept Sasha's beautiful face covered this whole time.
And I was just saying that people could get to see my makeup for today. And you just
because you worked so hard. Because you worked so hard. But yeah, everything that you said definitely about Madiba Day and just thinking about how far we've come as a country, but also I think it's a time to reflect, look how far we've come, look at everything that we've accomplished, be grateful for it, but also internalize and think about where can we go from here? What can we improve? You know, because there's definitely, you know, so much more that I think. But so happy to celebrate this coming weekend. I'm going to be looking at a little more questions. There's so many questions coming in, Sash. But most questions are in the comments and people are not putting them in the question box. You guys. Okay, let's go back.
They had one job, you know.
You guys had one job. One job. This is a funny one. Do beauty pageant participants want anything other than world peace?
You know, let me just say this. I feel like the person who asked the question is most probably watching a lot of movies because that's the only place I see it in. That's the only place I see it in. You know, I think, you know, people who participate in this space, I think for me, for you as well, I've never regarded it as a beauty pageant. I regarded this as, you know, a role in leadership and a platform for, you know, a multitude of causes for a multitude of causes that we find ourselves still fighting for, not only as South Africans, but as people, as global citizens, all over the world. And I think that this is one of those ways to alleviate various socioeconomic issues, and it should be given the credit that it deserves, because a lot of the movements are championed by people like us, people who want to make a difference.
Absolutely. I think you're right. This person has been watching a lot of Sandra Bullock, a lot of miscongeniality, and I'm also guilty because I have to watch it at least, I don't know how many times a year.
We love our
we love Sandra Bullock, but like Sasha said, I think if you have been following this Universe platform and the Miss South African platform, you will know that the different women that come in with different voices. They stand for different things, and so it's not all world PC, but yeah. Thanks for answering that, Sash. Let's look at another question. Somebody said, this is actually in line with what we just said. Why is it important for a Miss Universe to be charitable? Okay, I guess this is for me. But it could be for you too, Sash. You could answer for Miss South Africa. I think it's important for all the reasons that you just mentioned, Sasha. You are at a position where you can do these things. You are at a position where you can be that person. I always say, if you're at a platform where you can give back, if you're at a platform, whether it's, with your time, with your voice, or with your anything, it's such an important thing to do. And so that's why it's important, because you have the platform, you have the following, you have the voice, you have people looking up to you who are always waiting for you to say something and to do something. And so I think it's just so incredible if you take your platform and your influence and use it for positive change and positive impact. Yeah. So that's why it's important. Let's see what else we have.
Someone's asking, is Werner here?
What?
Be like, Werner, comment now. We would want to see you.
Okay. Werner, do you have a question for us? I know you're there stalking. Okay, so I'm going through the question box. Sometimes the questions are in different languages. The joy of Miss Universe. The joy. You get people from all over the world, and I wish I could learn, a lot of these languages.
And you can, girl.
I'm actually going to put up this so that we can answer it again. Do you have any favorites in the Miss South Africa top 15?
All of them. All of them. Each and every single one of them. All of them.
I agree. Number 1 to number 15. All my favorites. Doesn't matter who wins. All of them are just, amazing. Let's see if there's any more questions that we could find here. Sasha, have you been able to actually, leave the apartment and go out and do some work? How is it over there? Has it changed a little bit? What are your restrictions?
So the first time I was allowed out was for International Nurses Day. And that was quite a while ago. In terms of restrictions, they have eased a little bit, but it's just now a matter of, this job, as you know, is very hands-on. And it's very difficult because, the second the sash is on, a lot of people forget, the rules, because I could also put them in danger, by coming very close to me. So, it's unfortunate, but there hasn't really been that much work on the ground. But there has been a lot of work online, which is great because our voices are now amplified. We get to, interact with people all over the world. We get to speak about whatever it is that we want to speak about. But I think, International Nurses Day was definitely a highlight for me. And, that moment addressing them, it brought me to this quote by Rumi, and it reads, "Don't you know yet? It is your light that lights the world." And I find it so fitting, not because it was a candlelight ceremony, but because I feel like, nurses are, the guiding force through what seems to be one of the most difficult and dark times that we, not only as South Africans, are facing, but as the globe.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody asked, what do we think? Where's the question? I lost it again. It went up. I thought I had it. I thought I had it in my mind, but clearly I didn't. But they asked, do we think beauty pageants are empowering? And if so, in what way? I think that was the question. Do you think beauty pageants are empowering? If so, in what way?
In what way? So for me, as I said previously, before I got into the space, I saw it for what it was, and that was for what it did for everyone else. So everyone else that it represented through our work, through our service. But in being here, I see what it is for me as Sasha. It's allowed me to have a voice. If it sounds weird, but I think I found my voice a lot more in this space. You know, not only in just telling my story, but in so many other things. I've grown as a woman. I've grown to understand what confidence is. I've grown to be patient with myself in this whole process as well. And I think, or I know rather, that the Sasha on the 9th of August, or the Sasha in the beginning of this journey, is definitely not the woman that I'll be leaving as. There's just been so much growth. And you know, a lot, to be honest with you, growing pains, because it has been difficult and it has been testing, you know, because growth, it's hard. There's a lot of challenges that we face.
Oh no, Sasha, I lost you a little bit there. Okay, you're back. I lost you a little.
Now, I just spoke about how, you know, there's been so many growth pains and all of the challenges that we faced, you know, in the positions that we're in. What challenges have you faced, Zoz?
That is so funny, because I was about to ask you the same question. I was going to say, you know, you speak of challenges, particularly what challenges have you faced, you know, being where you are. But to answer you, Sash, I mean, firstly, being away from home is always going to be, you know, one of the biggest challenges, because you are rooted from your home and, you know, placed in a different, not a different city, not a different province, not the same continent, but literally across the world. And so I think that was the most challenging thing, being away, you know, from family. But then again, coming back to all of a sudden, people are interested in your life. People want to know what you're doing, who you're doing it with. And so whenever you speak about something, whenever you go into social media to write about something, you're not the same person that you were anymore. It's like people go through your life with a fine-tooth comb. You know, going through your life.
Waiting for you to make a mistake.
Waiting, exactly.
Waiting
for you to make that one mistake so that they can pounce. But not even that, but also just knowing that you are now responsible for a lot of things, you know, so that the weight on your shoulders, you do kind of feel it. So I think that has been one of the most challenging things, because I was somebody who was so much in my own space. I didn't have a lot of social media following. I didn't go out a lot. I was so much caged in my own space. And so I found myself obviously now having to open up my life to so many people. That was also challenging as well. Again, going back to stereotypes, you know, pageantry and beauty, having to constantly wake up every day, once again, with somebody asking me, when am I growing my hair? When are you going to put on a weave? You know, you look so much prettier if you looked a certain way. It's just, you know, just so many different things. But it's not all challenges, you know, it's very beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful journey to be able to be in the position that I'm in. And I'm absolutely grateful for it. But yeah, it's like you said, growing pains. What have been your challenges?
I think it's actually basically the ones that you have, because we are different to what has previously been celebrated. But I think the most important thing that's gotten me through this, you know, not only the WhatsApp calls with you, but it's remembering that there are a lot of people in the cheap seats of life hurling hate at the man or the woman in the arena.
Absolutely.
And I'm only going to, you know, take the criticism from those who are trying. And I try my best to remember that. But on my human days, I promise you I don't. On these human days that we all have, and we forget that. But I think it's just so important to understand that there's so many people who are out there criticizing, and not a lot of people going out there doing and pursuing their dreams. So, you know, in the pursuit of success or whatever it is that you set out to do, there is going to be the hate.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to take, because we are human and we do want to be accepted. And there's a high degree of vulnerability in this position that we're in. you know, because of all the influence that we have. But I think it's just so important that we remember that it isn't the critic who counts.
Absolutely, it's not the critic who counts. Speaking of the critics and the hate, I just literally saw a comment come through saying black, the B word, to me, I guess. Like just now, literally as you were speaking about hate, somebody put in a comment saying you black, the B word. So it's just one of those things where you kind of have to wake up and deal with it. So it's quite challenging, and you have to be very strong, I guess, mentally and emotionally to be able to deal with it. But like I said, I'm happy to be that black B word who is here, because then, you know, so many more black girls and so many other people who have felt like, who have been told that they could never be Miss Universe, so they should never be. Now they know that they can, in fact, be that person. And so I think that's what makes it so bittersweet. That's what makes it bittersweet. Like you said, you know, the critic doesn't count because they're literally sitting behind their computer being keyboard warriors, doing nothing.
And we gotta love them. You know why we gotta love them? Because they follow your journey too. They still following you.
You're still following me and you're making comments, so I appreciate you too, and I love you too.
Aiding to the success. Yes, follow her.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, Sash, let's see. I'm gonna go back to the question box. Somebody asked, I don't know if they're asking us, do you prefer Demi-Lee or tamarind green? I prefer both. Why must I choose? They're both amazing.
Why must we choose when we have both of them?
I can never choose. I can have two of them. Why have one when you can have two? Oh, let's see. You guys have to put questions in the question. Somebody asked if are we able to speak Spanish, and I'm not, and I don't think Sasha, unless Sasha has like a secret Spanish language that I don't know about. No, but we would love to learn. We would definitely love to learn.
It actually goes to the question of everyone asking me, Sasha, can you speak Afrikaans? Because your surname is Afrikaans.
Yes, Sasha. That is a valid question, though.
I know, but my father had an Afrikaans surname, and he himself isn't really Afrikaans either. So it's just it's always a trap question for me because I can't. I can understand it fluently, but I think it's my accent and the Afrikaans accent
doesn't come out. But you
so I'm not really gonna try.
That's the thing about South Africa, like having 11 official languages, and it's like when I have to learn languages outside of my country, I'm like, I want to like be able to speak the 11 that I have in my country and then try something else. But I think it's like such an absolute beautiful mix of diversity and rich culture. I'm going to look for one or two questions, Sash, and then I'm going to ask you to say a few last words that you know want to leave us with. To the people, you know, people want to hear from the beautiful Miss South Africa, Sasha-Lee. Oh, okay. I'm going to answer this one. But you can answer as well, Sasha. I don't see why you can't.
Yeah.
Do you think a Miss Universe should be able to speak English? Why and why not? I'm going to say it definitely helps if you can for communication, because a lot of people do speak English, but I don't think you should. You know, it's not, I don't think it should be a requirement, because we're the universe. It's like the whole world. If you say people should speak English, then you are literally eliminating not even half, but a lot of people. And what we stand for, our intelligence and our hearts and our souls, are not measured by languages or English. So I don't think it should be a requirement. Absolutely not. But it does help if you can speak.
Yeah, and I think it helps because, you know, English is a lingua franca. It's one of those languages that's used like across, you know, the world. So it's great to be able to interact with every person. However, you know, language is, you know, a different type of intelligence, and we should be able to celebrate the different types of intelligence, like the different languages that we have. And I mean, people of different languages have won Miss Universe in the past.
They have. Yeah. They have, absolutely. I don't think it should be a requirement. That's just my opinion. But yeah. Okay, I'm going to look for, I think, one last one. And then, ooh, you guys put questions in the question box. Is this thing called a question box, Sasha? I've been asking people. I don't think anyone has answered. Is it called a question box, or am I like making up names?
I think it is called a question box.
Okay, thank you. Because I feel like I've been asking every day. Somebody just said you guys are stunning. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Shoo. Okay, I think we're just gonna answer this one, both of us, and then you leave us with your final word. Do you ever lay in bed with your crown?
You want to know. Tell us the truth.
I'm just imagining myself like going to bed like this. You know what? On the first night, I probably did. I was like, "Don't take it away, don't take it away," and wanted to sleep with it. But no, I don't lay with my crown in bed. But sometimes I do like display it, like on top of, my dresser or next to my bed, just to see it there and be like, "Hey, girl, I see you." Do you sleep with your crown on, Sasha? Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
No, I have one picture of me. It was on a shoot we were doing, and Tumelo was behind me, and she was actually taking a video of me eating from the fridge with my crown on, which I guess is pretty fitting for lockdown. It's pretty fitting for lockdown, but yeah, I have one of those pictures of me digging in the fridge with the crown on the shoot that we were doing. But I've never slept with it on. I've marveled at it.
That would be difficult, but it is a dream. It is a dream. I'll definitely try it out tonight and let you guys know soon. Sash, what do you want to leave us with, friend? Like, what are your words? Your final words of, whether it's encouragement, do you want to drop some wisdom? Do you want to leave us with a message? Like anything that you want to leave people with. Speak to your people, Queen.
Listening to you now, I thought you were about to say, would you want to drop a lyric? I'm like, Zozi, I cannot sing. You are the one who sings. Do not do this to these people. But for me, I think right now in the position I'm in, I think I want to speak more to the people who are in the art space, to the people who are trying to pursue their dreams, because those things are never set in stone. It's not the 9 to 5. It's all about pursuing your gift and what that is really. It's all about persistence in the face of defeat, because I find that, talent is never enough.
Yeah.
Regardless of where we get to in this space, we're always going to find ourselves in this position where we could get our butt kicked. We are going to be faced with so much adversity still. So it's just to say that, talent is never enough. It's all about persistence in the face of defeat. I think that's one of the things that's so fitting right now, with all of the challenges that we're facing and all of the dreams that have been partially delayed, not denied, delayed, given what we're currently facing.
Absolutely. My Sash, thank you so much. You're gonna say goodbye to the people, but I get to speak to her on her phone. I have Miss South Africa's number on my phone because I'm special. So thank you so much, Sasha, for joining me today. We have these conversations a lot. It was just so nice to actually, share them with other people. So thank you for bringing your light and your wisdom and your heart to us. We appreciate you so much, and we love you.
Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Cool. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us with that live. That was Miss South Africa, Sasha-Lee, and it's just always so great to speak to her. She has so much light and so much wisdom and heart, and it was very nice to have her here, share that wisdom with you guys. Thank you once again for joining me. I will see you next week on another live. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and I hope you all celebrate, International Nelson Mandela Day. See what you can do for your 67 minutes for your community. You don't have to go out there. Don't go out there and say Zozi told you to stop socially distancing. But whatever it is that you can do, we hope that you can do it from home if you can. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. Have a fantastic weekend and see you next week.